month inakuja kuingia immediately. I was talking to her about it. And immediately when I was talking to her, immediately my first thing to her is nilikuja kani nimemwambia, sasa unajua zile vitu zenye tunakuja kwa umeweka mguu chini unasema mimi ni mimi mwanaume huku nimesema. So hiyo nilikuja kani nimemkuja na hiyo design niambia hizi design ninakuja nimekuambia nimesema. Na hii we are not going into SHIF, and of course I had facts. It wasn't just a matter of saying it for the sake of it. I have my own facts for it. And I had met with this tweet, somebody who had made a tweet like this before. And I think, PP, among the first times when I ever listened to you, I think there was a time you had this conversation, about 2-3 months back, you had this conversation on SHIF. And there's somebody you had here, I don't know whether it was Akina Nothing, Amelikuwa Nani, and they were going through the details of it. They were breaking down this, the costs, what people are getting, the pie, everything. So I have the background. So I was talking to my wife about it, and we didn't come to a complete agreement because I didn't have the figures. I could not remember these figures, but I remember telling her that the how absurd and how, to me, I will dare say insulting, and yes, I sound very demanding by using the word insulting, it is to a citizen who is paying that insurance to be covered with, let me say that again, 2,850 per year for the entire household. Now, I know I get the lesser chances that there can be two people sick of hypertension within the same time, but good Lord, how are you going to give someone, how are you going to give, surely diabetes, dialysis, PP, dialysis, miss figure, the actual dialysis costs people thousands on a weekly basis. And then you give somebody what? 4,300 per year. This is insane. I was talking to her, so I'm glad you've given me these figures because I wanted to show them to her. And I was telling her, one, somehow we are supposed to forget that there was this so-called era of commas and zeros that happened that cost us the loss of millions of money. Somehow we're supposed to forget of all the levels of corruption that have been pointed out as far as NHIF was concerned. And somehow all that is supposed to be taken, put under the rug, PP. We say it's all good. You know, there's nothing to it. It's all good. We're being given something new. But don't worry, they moved the letters. They moved the letters from the N, they just went to an S. So you don't worry, everything else has been buried with the N. This is a new day, this is a new thing. You don't worry. And somehow we're supposed to just believe it. I've been firing up since Jana. And I think I wasn't even fired up about SHIF. I just got fired up right now when I remembered it. But I've been fired up so much about Adani and about Morema. One with, well, the Senate sitting that was there. I literally was listening through while rewinding the whole time on YouTube. The whole Gachagua interview that happened. So I'll get to those later. But right now I just wanted to attack SHIF, and I say this. What is a mechanism? Whatever they want to say, me as DK Gift, not home run, not PP. Me, DK Gift, let them call me an insider. But I, and anyone that I can be able to get them to give me a listening ear, will not pay any of that SHIF. We were never helped out of NHIF. It is not going to help us today. It is not going to help us today. I'll leave it at that, PP. Asante, thank you so much for coming back, bro. I'm so glad to see you. We'll catch up later and see how it is, but I'm so glad that you're back. All right? Asante for everyone.
All right. Asante sana, bwana.
Social conversations, engaging topics on your phone anywhere. This is Home Run with PP.
Yes, you tuned into Home Run with PP, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm glad to be back on air. Sikuwa najua kumbe napendanga kukuwa on air hivyo. Yes. I was feeling sick, but my sickness was worse when I was thinking that I was not able to come on air yesterday. But I'm glad I'm back. I'm hydrating. Nilienda Makueni County kujaribu chakula ya kibandaski alafu ikafanya ile backfire. Yeah. But I'm glad I'm back on air right now. We can interact. Of course, today I'm going to give you an extra hour. Yeah. Ya kurudi kazi. But we are just getting started here. We have very many topics to pick from. Straight from the SHIF that is about to kick in about a week's time. People will be paying 2.75% of their money. Right now, they have already been paying 1.7% of their salary to social housing, which they have not even seen. Yeah. And then now we are going to 2.7% of SHIF, which is punitive, to say the least. And then we have the Adani takeover. Adani Group seems to be taking over everything. They are targeting the ports. They are targeting all the airports. They're already supplying electricity through Ketraco. They are getting into the health sector through SHIF. How do you take one company that is based in India to own all of those things? And you do not have a problem with that. In fact, you are forcing it down people's throats. And of course, they are distracting us. And that is how the way these topics have been put. That is why I have written those topics like that, so that we can already get to understand what is exactly happening right now. So they are bringing in SHIF in October. Adani is already taking half of the country's resources in a move, and they're giving us nothing, absolutely zilch. And then they're now telling us they want to impeach Rigathi by December. So they're giving it an urgency so that we get distracted and stop looking and talking about the very, very issues that really affect us. I see, Luca Matoke Aseba, we have been screwed in broad daylight by SHIF. It is a scam. Talk to me, Luca.
Okay, hello again. Now, there is something we have not seen as citizens. Don't you think they are pushing this SHIF thing so that we fail to pay for it? Then we go to private insurance. And if you look at the private insurance, mostly the shareholders are these politicians. So it's like they want us to give them money indirectly. I see that happening. Yeah, because these things are crazy. Like, kama NHIF peke yake iko inatusaidia most of our families, most of our, it was not taking care of us and our families. So now, then you bring something that is worse, that's something that is like a tiny fraction of whatever we are getting from NHIF. So, I think sasa itabidi we move to this private, but again, remember, we are going to feed these people. I happen to think, I don't want to mention the companies, but these companies, if you go and check the shareholders, you'll find that it is starting with the first guy, the king at the top, coming to these other guys who are working on corner in parliament. You'll discover that it is them that, have the share. So, in other words, we are going to help their shares to rise and become, of good value. So we get screwed over and over again. Or what do you think, Pipi? Am I wrong in my thinking?
The funny thing is, the president owns shares in an insurance company called, what do you call it? Amaco. Is it Amaco?
No, I say direct. Okay, sorry.
Allegedly. Allegedly. Yeah. Yes. Okay. So the chairman, the one who was the, I think the CEO or the chair, is now the one who is on the board is the chair of SHIF, believe it or not. So yeah, I know what you're saying.
Oh my God, Aki Pipi, this country name is Jesus. What we shall do? Yeah, what is really happening? Like, itawezekana aje tupate kiongozi mzuri kama Kibaki? It's like we are moving from a bad guy to a worse guy, tukiendelea hivyo. You see, So we don't know even after this guy that definitely it's going to be out of power, whether being removed, whether 2027 or 2032 is going to be out. Ni kama tunaweza pata tena mtu mwingine ambaye, because it's like we are moving backwards as a country. Like tulikuwa tumefikiria tumeachana na bad leadership time Moi was done away with, but since Kibaki left, it's like we are having bad leaders. Yeah, and even with institutions, with even good laws, so long as the leaders are not good. Leadership, it's willing. You can be willing to be a good leader, you can be willing to be a bad leader. And if you're a good leader, you do good things to the country. If you're a bad individual, you will always do bad things to the country, and it will always be like the norm. So sijui what we can do to change this country. Maybe sometimes nikianza kufikiria anaanza kulia, like I just ask myself, what kind of life will my children be having? In a life whereby hata siezi, I cannot save, I cannot do investments, ninaishi tu as after paying for their food and their school fees, that is it. Like, and I think I'm not the only individual going through this. Pipi, I wish ingekuwa a time that we are talking about things like investments. Like tunasema kama sahi tumeona most of the central banks across the world, they are reducing their rates, so kutakuwa na demand ya services, kutakuwa the stocks are going to rise. Tungekuwa tunaongea about hizo vitu, tunasema I think now we should be investing in such and such a company. We should be doing this and this so that we get these benefits. But also you can see we as Kenyans tumekuwa pushed into these conversations. Things are not good. Sijui vile tutabadilisha this country. And I've been listening around maybe nisikie watu wenye wako na ideas how we can change this country. There have been some good ideas, but this country, pipi, sijui tutafanya nini. We are going down the drain tukiangalia. Yeah. Acha nipea mic watu wengine na wao waongea their frustrations. Thanks. Hello, Pipi. You can continue.
DK, can you hear me?
Me, I can hear you. I don't know whether the others can hear you. Me, I can hear you clearly.
All right. I think I had lost the mic for a minute, but yeah. Thank you, Luca, for that. Joe Onkeo, how are you doing?
I'm doing fine, sir. I've just joined, so I'm trying to catch up with what the direction the conversation is taking.
Okay. So hang back there. We'll get to you in a few. Amunto, how are you doing? Amunto, if you can hear me, unmute your mic. Looks like
this is Home Run with Pipi.
Leo ndo ile siku ameamua kunifanya bad hapa hivi. But how are you doing, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to Home Run with Pipi. Amunto, are you there? Looks like Amunto cannot get me, so Amunto Mudhomi Ntoiti. Marabu Stokes, Wagwan brother.
I'm easy, Pipi. How are you doing? Are you good?
I'm better.
Well, man, I heard that you're coming up with disease, and I thought they had poisoned you, man.
I had bad food in Makueni on Sunday, but I'm better now.
It's all good, job bless. So, you see, this issue of privatization started when they brought this new bill. Remember, we had a privatization bill which was for 2005. And then all of a sudden, the Treasury of Kenya under Henry Rotich, they brought in a new bill in 2023, which was now to be the Privatization Amendment Bill of 2023. And this is where all the problems started. You know, this bill was hurriedly passed through Parliament. Most members of the Parliament did not even read this bill through, because if they had done so, they would have realized that the bill moves the function of privatization from Parliament to the Cabinet Secretary. And I don't think if the members of Parliament had read this bill, they would have passed that bill, because how would you pass a bill that moves powers from Parliament and places it in the hands of one person called the Cabinet Secretary? So I think, first of all, our problem starts with our Parliament, because if you look at this bill specifically, the Privatization Act of 2023, it was assented by the President in October 2023. If you look at the provisions of this act, then you will ask yourself, how is it that the members of Parliament, of the legislature, were able to pass this bill? Because it doesn't make sense. Then when you look at what is happening with SHIF, as you have mentioned, and I've heard you talk about what it's going to cost, but have you looked at the deductions? They're going to deduct 2.7% of your salary. Unlike the NHIF, which was deducting a maximum of 1,700 shillings from us, SHIF is going to look at your salary. If you're earning 90,000, it's going to deduct 27%. If you're earning $1 million, it's going to deduct 27%. So what they have done primarily is increase what you pay to SHIF and reduce the services. I don't know if you understand what these people have done. You used to pay 1,700 and you get dental for about 15,000. But right now you'll be paying probably 27,000 and you're getting dental for 2,000. So they have actually robbed you using the law. And that is why I'm saying I don't understand how our legislatures would have passed this thing. However, I see that they have a disclaimer because they are on a different plan. And this is what somebody was saying the other day. Why is it that our leaders use different hospitals? They use different schools, different transport system. Everything that our leaders use is different from the people. Even now, as we look at SHIF, their plan is different from ours. Yet they are the ones passing this plan. Let's look at what SHIF provides for terminally ill patients, like people with cancer, people who have to do some MRIs, people who have to do some UECs. They offer these services once a year. What are they telling you? If you have cancer, you get sick only once a year. That is what they can do for you. So if you have to seek something like an AIC, you have to do it once a year. Yet you have paid for the medical cover. But they are saying that they're only covering terminal diseases for once a year. So it's like telling a cancer patient, look for between 365 days, look for 1 day to be sick. The rest of it, you're on your own. And this is something you're paid for again. If you look at the SHIF, the number of the deduction I was telling you, for instance, if somebody earns 200,000, for SHIF you'll be paying 13,700. In NHIF, you would have been paying 1,700. And this person is terminally ill. Let's say they have cancer. You come back and they tell you, we are going to do an MRI only once a year. Now, is this system supposed to help the people? Or is this exploitation of the people? Is this government pro-people? Or is this government in business to steal from the people? Let's look at the companies that are involved in SHIF. And most of them have been, the names mentioned in these companies come from State House, most of them. And we can see Devin D's all over the place when it comes to the names. We can see his wife and so many people. So Adani is also mentioned in this deal. So how do we move Adani from JKI, from Ketraco? Now he's in SHIF. What is happening in this country? Are people serious? Don't we have any other person who can offer services in this country? Who is to blame for this? Is this the reason why we are seeing the antagonism between the deputy and the president? Because there's too much looting and they can't even decide how to share this money. Kenya is becoming a crime scene. And the injection has to now start. I think we have not started injecting. It's becoming terrible. Now look at the privatization that is going to start with this bill that I'm talking about. The cabinet secretary has the power by law from today to privatize any entity, national entity in Kenya, Kenya Seed, and all these other parastatals. He can decide how to privatize and when to privatize. This is powers that used to belong to the parliament, but right now we put it to one person. And you know who that one person is, and you know their history with corruption. So what are we doing to ourselves? Appointment of members to the Commission of Privatization is also done by the cabinet secretary. This is something that used to be done by the cabinet, by the parliament. Now you've taken the powers of the parliament and you put it on one person in appointment. You put it in one person in privatization. What are we doing to our country, Pipita? Let me ask you. Are we people serious? Are we serious where we're going with this country? Lastly, Pipita, let me tell you something that I read the other day. There is a policy which the world leaders are using right now. It's called aggression. And aggression is used by leaders who want to get anarchy, because anarchy fosters control. Once people start demonstrating and once people start agitating for clamoring for change, it gives a leader control of the other people. They can use the police force, they can use the military to say that I'm keeping peace and enforcing order. So sometimes we might not understand what is happening. But I read this thing recently from an American author, and he's saying that the globalists right now, and when we talk about the globalists, we're talking about people like Bill Gates with his Monsanto, where he comes with this agriculture bill that is coming into Kenya right now. And when you look at the agriculture bill, it's the same bill that they're trying to bring in Australia. So these globalists right now are trying to control the world, and they are using this aggression strategy. They want to agitate the masses to create anarchy so that they can militarize or police governments to ensure that they force their people to do what the globalists want. And I believe all these strategies that we are seeing right now are part of this global agenda to take over not only Africa, but the rest of the world. So it's up to us to decide, are we going to take this lightly, sitting down, or are we going to react and ask the hard questions which they don't want to answer? Yesterday, the Cabinet Secretary Treasury, Mr. Mbadi, was in Parliament, and he was asked some questions with Okiya Mtata, and he refused blatantly to answer these questions. Now, when a person appears in a parliamentary select committee and refuses to answer questions, where else can we take him for accountability? The other day, there was some policeman who goes to jail, was supposed to be jailed for 6 months, appeared in court, and you could see the magistrate was shaking, meaning that he had been coerced. Where else can the human being, can me and you go for justice? It's only the streets right now that remains. And we have to find an agenda between ourselves and find out how we can liberate ourselves. Thank you very much for the time. God bless people.
Thank you so much for that submission, Marabou Talks. That submission gets us to the conversation. Our home run with Pipi today is...
You are listening to Home Run with Pipi. Weekdays from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m.
Today is what we call State of the Nation Tuesdays, where we talk about things that are happening in our country in the political sphere. Because we realize that no matter what, politics is an integral part of our life, and politics also affect our policies, and that is why you saw people get out to the street to just echo that to the people as well who are in power. I see my friend John Seremani is here with us. How are you doing, John?
Hey, what's up, Pipi? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Poa sana. Glad you're back. Habari DK Gift, habari panelists. Anyway, thanks for the opportunity. So, I think for now, what I'm going to say, I'm going to focus on the Murima destruction bit. People have talked about SHIF and Adani, and I think anyone who's on X, it's going to be very strange if you haven't come about information dealing with those two. But I'd like to explain something that I'd like to imagine many people are not aware of. Is that, yes, you've put it correctly, it is a distraction. And in my own personal, just indulge me a bit, in my own personal study of things, I've come to realize that, of course, when the state or the powers that should not be, when they're going to execute something, they have to come up with some form of distraction. It's part of a school. Those who have read, they know about the Hegelian dialectic. There are various kinds of dialectics. By the way, the people advising these guys are very, very bright. they know how to play politics well. So Hegel was a philosophy at the University of Berlin. He was Karl Marx's professor, by the way, and he was a student of Adam Weishaupt, the founder of Illuminati. There are various kinds of dialectics, but his is the prominent one, where you take a thesis and an antithesis, so these are two different things, and then you rub them together or cause them to collide, and then out of it you get a synthesis, the end goal that you want. So in other words, and you see, it's a perfect application where in the US they use the left and the right to perfection, and the people never unite enough on common issues to deal with the ruling class. They're always divided on LGBT issues, on so many, which are cultural, by the way. But here, once they saw what we did in the lead up and on 25th, and even afterwards, let's say, they have realized that the best way to get the agenda through is to find a way of distracting us. And the main audience they are targeting, especially, is the rural poor. So the thesis here, of course, is Ruto is trying to impeach, and the thing is supposed to be made to look real. It's perfect acting, by the way. Some of the best politicians have been actors, because for the large part, and it's acting, theater. So it has to be made to look real, and it's drumming up all the political fires here and there. And I'll just say this, that there's a writer called Bastiat, wrote a book called The Law. And he says basically that whenever you see a lot of politics, just know that is a place where the rule of law is basically non-existent or very little. Because if the law does what it's supposed to do, punish evil and protect the good, then the importance of politics is diminished. So anyway, today I was just giving a bit of a technical analysis, but I want to affirm the fact that honestly, this thing is a distraction, and unfortunately, many people are eating it up. So solutions, as I learned, what can we do? What can we do? Because they've known that for the past few weeks, for a few months actually, we've been, basically running the show. They've tried all manner of ways, to kind of get back the limelight. So what can we do? Number one, action matters more than words. We can come here and speak, but the most important thing is keep on sharing those informations about Adani, about SHIF. Share them to the WhatsApp groups where you have your aunts, your uncles, your mother, everybody who is a boomer and upwards or below, I don't know. Wherever you can get to share that information. Let people know, without shame, by the way. And then two, this would be my advice to anyone here who's involved in an initiative. We need a way of let me say, taking back the narrative. So, for example, now, instead of people focusing on, because even here on X, I see people retweeting some things about oh, mtu wetu nini, and I'm like, okay. why are you engaging with such kind of posts? If not to mock it. So for the people who are involved in an initiative, this has to be agenda number one. How do we stop people from eating up this distraction? Because as I finish, when I hear Sudi saying 2 weeks, so and so is going to be impeached, my mind reads that and interprets that as in 2 weeks, maybe some kind of Adani deal is going to come to fruition. So anyway, that's just my submission for now. Thanks, man.
All right. Thank you, John, for that. DK, are you there?
You are listening to Home Run with Pippi. Weekdays from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m.
Malia Davids, how are you doing?
I'm good.
Karibu kwenye show.
How are you?
I'm feeling better today.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, so I think what I want to talk about is this issue of this medical intern who committed suicide. Once upon a time, being a doctor was a big deal. Nowadays, you really wonder. Doctors are jobless. Doctors are driving matatus. Some doctors are even cobblers. In between hawajapata kazi, hawajamaliza. Unasoma shule 10 good years. And then after that, you are jobless in Kenya. And they are not jobless because there are many. The ratio of doctors to patients is supposed to be 1 doctor for 17,000 citizens, according to World Health Organization. In Kenya, it's like 1 doctor for 40,000 people. And still doctors don't have jobs. And interns are not being paid money. They are not being paid their money. It's being kept for months. So a medical intern, it's really disturbing what is happening in this country. Mshahara ya MP iwezi chelewa na miezi 2, but ya intern mwenye anafanya kazi 36 hours. You know what is working non-stop for 36 hours? Wewe unaendaga kazi for 8 hours in a day. So you imagine you are working 8 times what? Ndio ifike hiyo 36. It's like 4 working days zako ameshikanisha. Ameshikanisha pamoja. Si ati she came for the shift and then she went, do shift yao ni 12 hours. You come for the shift, you are given another shift. Hata sijui kama wanakupeanga time uende uoge, unaongezwa shift ingine. For 36 hours uko job. Sometimes some of those interns are working in a surgical ward whereby you are supposed to be operating people. You are operating people. Some of these operations are complicated. Na unajua intern by the way unafanyanga kila kitu, whatever you'll be told by your bosses there or your seniors there. So you are working 36 hours non-stop. Maybe you've been on your feet that time, 36 hours. Then hujalipa mshahara 4 months. Hujalipa rent. Landlord yako anakufungia nyumba, anataka kufungia nyumba, anakuhara. You are a doctor. Ulipata kila kitu. Umesoma. Medicine is so grueling. Then on top of that, you are working with people who are, you have a union, yes, but they cannot defend you when you are having a boss who is unfair. Because the rules say that you are not supposed to be working more than 40 hours in a week. So if you are working 36 hours continuous, karibu unamaliza kazi ya 1 week na shift shift moja, yani hajakula in the last 24, hajakula chakula, haiwezi afford kununua chakula. What is that? You know, I just listened in our hospitals, and I was like, Jesus, this country, let me tell you, ukiona nchi yenye the most revered profession, they are being treated like garbage. What about the rest of us? So the person in this country who is important is the politician. MP hawezi kosa. MP akikosa mshahara 1 month inaelekea 1.5 months, hakuna mtu hatajua that hajalipwa mshahara. But daktari, intern, mwenye anafanya kazi the way they work, those people work. Unaingia kwa ofisi ama kwa whatever, kwa tuseme the ones who see patient, iko line hapo. Hata kutoka kuenda tu ni shida, kwenda kujisaidia ni shida. Unakaa unaona patient after patient after, kama machine. Then huna pesa ya kununua chakula. For the love of God, what kind of a country is this? You cannot buy food. Unaenda kutreat patient, unaenda kufanya operation kama uko na njaa jamini. Paka mtoto wenyewe sasa, she was pushed to the brink. She committed suicide. She hanged herself because mtoto wenyewe she's hungry, mtoto wenyewe she's broke, mtoto wenyewe the landlord is on her neck, mtoto wenyewe kila mtu kwa wanajua she's a doctor. If anything, they even expecting that anaweza kuwa anatuma kitu. Wazazi wamesacrifice everything. She has studied medicine venye inakuanga grueling. That is where we have reached as a country. I'm very sad. But our mabwenyenye here wako hapa na SHIF, wana to register SHIF. Register for SHIF ama inaitwa nini? Register mko na deadline. You have deadline for SHIF, but you cannot pay interns for 4 months. Unaweka pesa ya mtu for 4 months. Unangojea ajiue kwa sababu hajakula na hajakuwa kilala. And the union which is supposed to kuwatetea wanaingizwa box kuitwa kwenda state. You know, hii biashara ya watu kuitwa state house na kuitwa when there is anything munaitwa leaders instead of the people who are supposed to be there for you. You are even paying some amount to be a part of that union so that you can be protected. But wanaona wakando, wanaitwa, wanapewa bahasha. This business of kupewa bahasha. Watu wa kanisa wanaitwa, wanapewa bahasha. University leaders wanaitwa when they are supposed to, they have been elected there to fight for the rights of students, wanaitwa, wanapewa bahasha. Everything ni kupewa bahasha. What kind of a country is this? Nobody is following the laws and rules and regulation. Unajua intern atakani kufanya kazi more than 12 hours. Whereas her supervisor unampea 36 good hours. Even you are risking the life of patients. But would you care? Probably unamwacha, wewe unaenda kwa mambo zako. That's a kind of a bandit country, rogue country we have become. Because me, I'm even worried now because kama unaenda kwa hospitali kupatiwa daktari mwenye hajakula, hajalala for 36 hours, hajalipwa mshahara for 4 good months. What is that? Landlord ndio huyo, karibu anafungiwa nyumba. Hata bengine anamhurumia tu kwa sababu anaona huyu ni daktari. Even having that title of daktari, unaitwa daktari but you are broke as hell. Ukitoka hapo, they won't even employ you. Unakaa kwanza unatamak. So to make ends meet unaanza kuendesha matatu. I'm so disappointed in this country and I'm so disgusted, and something has to really change. Because this, doctors are the highest cadre of people in a society. Those are the people who are dealing with our health. Ruto saa hizi akivirusi zikiongezeka kwa nini mwili sana, he will go to a doctor. Hata enda kwa kina ma DVD. na watu wengine wenye wanaona ni wa maana sana, but treat them like trash, like they are nothing. I'm so sad. Back to you.
Thank you for that submission, anaitwa Malia Davis. I hope you're doing well, ladies and gentlemen. We are 22 minutes past 5 p.m. East African time. Home Run PP is your social conversation space. Today, we are here on State of the Nation, and we are looking at it on a microscope. I see we have the Kikombe. How are you doing, Kikombe? Talk to me.
Yeah, Jatelo, mambo vipi?
Poa sana mzee.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for holding this space. I appreciate you. And I think this is a lovely space where people need to air what they believe. And people need to air what they feel. And people need to air their actual present moment that they believe can change our country. I feel strongly about this. And I think, to me, I would like to talk about leadership and the idea that the people that we have put in positions of leadership are thieves and are liars. And this is not something that is very superficial. This is something that is very clear. If I ask you now, ukiingia kwa matatu, unatoka Tao, unaenda Eastlands, you trust that the driver will get you there. Sindio? Pipita Jatelo, when you get on an aeroplane, you trust that the pilot will get you to whatever destination you're getting to. Sindio? Pipita Dongana.
Yeah, sure.
Aha, Sindio. Now, Pipita, when you go to hospital, and you have a surgery, and the doctor says, naenda kupati anesthesia. We need to do a surgery on you. We will get you unconscious, but we hope that the surgery will be okay. You will trust that the doctor will get you better. Sindio?
Yeah, sure.
Sasa acha nikuulize swali moja. Do you trust your politicians?
No.
So this is the problem. This is the biggest problem that humanity has faced for the longest time. And this is the Indio ugonjwa yenye tujai kubali. And this is one of the reasons why ukweli unajena chomanga watu sana. These are the things that the truth will always hurt you, because you know that even you believe that it's a lie, but you constantly and perpetually hope that maybe it's true. Why do you think we leave billions, trillions of Kenyan shillings to people that we do not trust? It is such a simple thing. Sinimafala. Enufala yetu is that we took on a polar bear yenye ilitolewa kwa uko kwa Arctic, tukaletewa hapa kwa savannah, and we hope that the polar bear will survive. They did a research, walifanya simulation ya polar bear, wakachukua hizi sijui meno zake. The University of California did it, and what they established is if they were to bring a polar bear to survive in Africa, it would die in a few days. This is what we've done with this thing, this system that we call democracy. Tulichimbua kitu, tukaileta hapa, and we hope that it will work for us. And the result, we have politicians gambling with our future. When I say gambling, I literally mean politicians are gambling with our future. And it will take big courage to get rid of this system in United Democracy. It is not easy, but it is possible. The people that said no to democracy, ile time yenye the West ilikuwa inawarushia, hiyo time ya the Cold War, they are progressing now. And we owe them billions and trillions trillions actually. The people that said no to democracy, they're excelling now. Every situation, every civilization that accepted democracy, apart from Korea and a little bit of Taiwan, wana progress. Hakuna country ingine unaweza niambia saizi walichukua democracy in the 70s, in the 80s, in the 60s, and they are doing well, whether economically, socially, anything, Kali. This is the thing that we need to accept. in my opinion. Kuna TED Talks by this man called Eric Lee. It is called A Tale of Two Political Systems. Look it up. It's been viewed millions of times. And this man looks at the system of China and the system of America. And he says very categorically how China shunned democracy when the rest of the world was jumping at it. Ukiangalia the rest of the world, some of the biggest democracies kama kina India, they're failing. They're failing. People are still poor for the longest time. China managed to raise 800 million people out of poverty. Hiyo ni Kenya times ngapi? More than 13. 800 million in 40 years. Kula hiyo. And you cannot tell me anything. It takes leadership to get to that level. Leadership. You cannot tell me that a billionaire, whatever thing that they have in their mind, they want to come in and change your system so that you can also be a billionaire. Mbolea ina gani hiyo? Nonsense. So we are the problem, and it would take us decades, but we need to start looking at a system where we get rid of a system. Pepita nakungoja uniulize solution ni nini, twende.
Solution ni gani? Because your political, you're kama you are China hivi. Are we supposed to go the China way or what?
That is the thing. And in fact, ukienda uochi kitu ni kama 18 minutes, an 18-minute TED Talks, and he talks about how every system, every civilization should be let to advance based on the needs of that civilization. At the moment, we are based and we are designing ourselves based on the needs of the West. Hii system tunapiga nayo kelele ya democracy. Hata UK, hata US, last election, Trump alishinda, anaitwaje, Hillary alishinda Trump na votes by almost 200,000. Bado hakuwa president. We jaribu hiyo Afrika yenyu muone kama utakuwa hiyo president yako. And that's a fallacy of this situation. It is all rigged. In my opinion, it's fake. So the solution is very simple. We need to design a way where we have meritocracy. Na nikisema meritocracy sisemi ati hakuna kuchagua z. Shida yetu hapa ilikuwa moja. We had a choice between Ruto and Agwambo. Of course tuliacha kina Jakoya, sijui kina hao watu wengine walikuwa wanavai, because we shunned them because they're not popular. But we need to design I don't want to call it a committee, but we need to design a shape that mini kikuuliza saizi Pepita, yeah? Pepita, if you want to be a pilot, si utenda usome kuwa pilot?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you want to be a doctor, you'll go and study to be a doctor, sindio? And you know exactly where you'll study to be a doctor, right? Ukitaka kuwa mkulima, unajua utaenda TVET gani, sindio? Ukitaka kwa mwalimu, you know you'll have to go for your B.Ed. If you want to be an engineer, everything. Tell me where you go and study to become a president or a politician. Utasoma nini?
Jiagari.
Exactly. So you cannot tell me that one of the most lucrative and the most powerful positions and the most powerful professions that we have does not have a space or a course that you can study. Unanielewa? Ukiangalia wasiwa, and I'm really sorry I'm bringing China into it, because in my opinion, this is a design that we can learn from. And I'm not necessarily saying we can copy, we can learn from them. Buddha, this guy says, if Obama were to run for any course, any positions in China, ata ange make county officer in China, because for you to progress from the level of kukua sijui MCA mpaka president, you have to have a track record. Ushaisimamia watu 10 million, rudi chini. Ushaisimamia watu 20 million, yes, twende juu. Ushaisimamia more than $2 billion, yes, twende juu. Ushaisimamia more than $1 billion, no, turudi down. Okay, kama ulisimamia $1 billion, were there any cases where you kuna checklist yenye by the time wanakutana na wale watu wa juu, by the time they get to the top 2 or top 3 people that are being nominated, it is non-negotiable. So the whole country actually knows. CC, utatoka from nowhere and just stand on the top of a pickup and want to vie for a position. Sasa naangalia screen yangu kuna Salasia na Madrid. Salasia came from nowhere and then he just wants, anaenda tu akakuja MP. Buddha, you know that Salasia is the one debating law in this country. Law. Yani yendi anaamua sheria yenye lawyers wenye wameenda shule for 7 years will go and actually implement. Buddha. If this is not a lie, what is it? So we need to wake up. We need to wake up. We are in this system because we have selected a system of clowns. So clowns are leading us and we are the circus. Sisi watu wote wenye tumendeze mashule, sisi walimu nini watu, we're just being revolved. Kuna kamtu tu pale juu na kispoon. Na sisi tuko hapo hivi kama chai. Sisi ndio chai tunazunguka. Will I be the one to be sipped or will I be the one to be poured out? And we need to wake up. And not wake up, but we need to push the system so that one day in the future, we actually have a system where the people that are vying for presidency are actually people who are qualified, people that went to school to study and learn how to run Kenya. And I mean specifically Kenya. So tuanze kazi. Nimemaliza.
All right. Asante. The Kikombe. I want to go to Gitau. Ladies and gentlemen, it's 34 minutes past the top of the hour. This is Home Run PP.
Social conversations, engaging topics on your phone anywhere. This is Home Run with PP.
All right. DK, are you there?
Niko hapa baba. Ole. I think I
tuende kwa Gitau then Western, eh?
All right. Sawa. Gitau.
Yeah, unanisikia?
Yes, we can hear you.
Good evening to. Mzuri sana.
Great. Please go on.
So like wase, unacheki the previous speaker amesema story. Hiyo story amesema ni story ya China. Hiyo story ya China ni China inakuanga ni socialism na ni dictatorship sana. Ile kitu amewaambia ni you learn from it because you cannot copy what China is doing, because ukiza soma history ya China unaweza jua kuna Tibet na wanakuwa neglect Tibet. So like hiyo ni story kubwa sana. So hiyo ni socialism. Hata wao wenyewe wanasemanga it's a people's dictatorship. Hiyo ni dictatorship. It's nothing different from what is happening here in Kenya. Hii Ruto anafanya. Hizo stories za China kwanza, they show you what you want to know. Ndio maana unacheki app zao, they kama WhatsApp haifanyi huko, Facebook nini, it's not a free state. It's nothing to be proud of. China, Russia, sijui wapi, North Korea, India pia ni dictatorship. So these countries, you should not emulate anything from these countries. We should create our own new thing. By the way, when revolution ilikuja, I tried to tell people, like, guys, stop thinking about the historical, what people did, kina Napoleon. Nabi urudia sana history. Na shida nikiambia wase, we are trying to bring something new. We were leaderless at the time, at the moment, hiyo time ya revolution. I was telling people, stay leaderless as long as you can. Create your new thing, create your new path. Fanyeni kitu itaingia kwa history books. Stop copying akina Napoleon. Akina Napoleon, they fail. Everybody fail. Akina Hitler, nani, all those empires fail. Create your new thing. Because kila kitu tulikuwa tunacopy wase. Like right now, what we are trying to do is copying other people. We should create our new thing. But then the main problem in Kenya is tribalism. Hiyo ndo shida pekee tuko nayo Kenya. Right now you see sijui ama tutaweza kumatch what the government is doing. The government isolated the Mlima, what they are calling it, Mount Kenya region nini, ujinga ya Mlima, and people are falling for it. Because you see, the government ili kitu walianza kitambo inakuja kigrow. First of all, walitoa ma-CS wa Mlima wakaeka from a certain region hivyo. Walianza kucheza mchezo, but wase hawakuwa outrageous, wase hawakuwa outraged like they are right now. Now they are attacking the deputy from Murima directly. Sasa unacheki, and now people wako outraged. Oyo, they are targeting the Murima community, the Mount Kenya region. People, when certain CSs walikuwa naeko, watu wakuwa outraged. Like you see, the government is just playing a game. Unakumbuka story ya Njagi, the guy they kidnapped the other day. Ili kuwa bado ni sideshows na ujinga, because until Babu Owino tweeted that, yo, you know guys, this the fellows that they were kidnapped, they are dead. This is just the government playing games. Hii gava, hawa se watu gava, yani sisi sahi, hii story ya Adani, nini, hizi zote ni distractions. Hiyo story ya Inspector General, kila kitu ni distraction. Na distraction ni nini? Distraction ni Ruto must go, because hiyo ndo inafaa kuwa priority. Sasa hata tukikuja hapa tuongee ati you know sijui madoctors sijui wanafanya nini inaweza kusurprise sahi Kenya. We all know the gross negligence in Kenya. Hatuwezi hata sidhani mseza kuja seme bado unajua kuna watu sijui wako wapi wanafanya sijui nini. Hata sisi shtuka nimesikia vitu zenye wanafanya. Ile kitu tunafaa tu kama hapo nayo, we know ile kitu tunajua ni ati Ruto must go. Hii distraction mnaletewa ati sijui Rigathi sijui nini wanataka impeach Rigathi. Hawezi jua hiyo impeachment ita take how long. Na wanatoa distraction because waliweka certain CSs wanasema tukitoa Rigathi maybe tunaweza replace na msee fulani, maybe tunaweza fanya msee fulani. Ile kitu wanafanya sasa, they are flirting with certain communities. They want to isolate some. Na unajua people from Mount Kenya, they are the biggest population in Kenya. So like unacheki ile mchezo inataka kuchezwa. Hii yote ile civic education tunasemanga kitu ya kwanza inafaa kuwa hata si hizo story ya sijui gava inafaa ni tribalism. Shida ya Kenya tu, na hapo ndo wanatushikianga tu kila wakati. Revolution watu walikuwa tribeless, then tukarudi tukakuwa tribeless. Wenye basi yes waliekwa tu hivi, mimi nilishtuka. Wase tulikuwa nakuja nao space, tunashinda hapo usiku tukiimba hapa we are tribeless, sisi hataki tribes nini. They started applauding ati yao yes. Unajua huyu ni wetu, huyu anaweza fanya kazi tunamjua. Hakuna politician Kenya ati nasikia wasio kusema sijui tufuate nani, sijui tufuate Babu Owino, sijui tufuate. Hakuna politician Kenya sahi hako in the mix. Huyo Salasi huyo anakuja kujifanya pamoja na Genz. He is not among the Genz, the movement. The main goal was to kick Ruto out. He is the cancer. Kicking Ruto out means kicking the whole government out. Not about tribalism, not about you to kick. Ni hawa si wote waende home. Tunajua this government haiwezi run hii country. Hii story unacheki leo ama ni jana ama lini. Wale wase alikuwa anasema ndo wana finance the revolution. Sahi wako na wakiwa applaud because of the kind of work they are doing in Kenya. Alafu mnataka kusema the person is a madman. Hakuna kitu inaweza tushtua ati tukuje tuongea hapa sijui unajua wameiba pesa. Wameiba billions, trillions. Hakuna kitu inaweza tushtua. Ile kitu inaweza kutushtua saa hii ni Ruto anatoka lini. Tunafaa tufanye. Nilikuja nikawaambia tukianza revolution, tukienda kwa streets tusiende home. Mimi nakuja kwa naambia wasee. Mimi niko Saudi Arabia hata nikiongea. So like mimi hata nikiweza rudi Kenya, zile vitu zote nimeongea na videos nimemake. Siwezi pita JKIA. Na mnajua story yangu, nimekuwa nikipost vitu zangu zote zenye nimekuwa nikiwaambia. Nikitaka kurudi Kenya niliwaambia there's a certain amount jua contracts zenye nilisign. There's a certain amount of money na sikuwa najua at the moment you must require an exit visa ndo toke Saudi. Ningekuwa nilihepa kitambo. Ningekuwa uko nikifight kwa revolution hata maybe ningekuwa nisha dead. Manze sisi tulijitolea kukufa because mimi wakeza nishika wananimada tu. Zile vitu nimesema ujinga yenye yote nimesema. Nimejaribu kuongea, nimejaribu kufanya nini? At the end of the day, hiyo struggles zetu zote zinarudi kwa tribalism. Sasa watu wameshikwa vizuri sana na hiyo story ya Mount Kenya. Kitu hata hatufai kuwa wakitaka kuimpeach Rigathi, hiyo si shida yetu. Waende wa muimpeach na huko. He is a fraud. Mseni trash. By the jana I was doing a test, nilikuwa na type wakiguza Mrima ni kama wameniguza na cheki. Ingia kwa nini zangu cheki comments. Watu wanasema Rigathi aende. Umbo ezin wasoko tribal. we have achieved nothing. Hiyo civil education tunakuwa tukisema we have achieved nothing. When hapa watu wanaongeanga kulingana na who is in power from their community. Hiyo ndo kitu yenye ililemewa Kenya. Kenyans hawana pesa inaibiangwa juu. Mimi kama Rigathi naiba pesa juu najua nitarudi kwa mlima. Nitakuja na baki. Watasema ni witch hunt. Kila mtu akichujwa ni witch hunt. Tulipoteza time na hiyo story ya Inspector General. Court wakasema tuwezi msikiza huyo jamaa. Kama tumekaa hivi usiku ati wale wasee walimadwa. Asubuhi ati wale wasee wameachiliwa wamepatikana sijui wapi. Yaani mchezo wa town tu na bado tuna fall for the story. Ati Babu Owino ni mtu mzuri, kama si Babu Owino, kama sio nini. Manze hii story yote, the problem in Kenya is tribalism. Hata sijui tusifanye socialism, tufanye nini. Na kusema kutoa story ya tribalism ni urudi back to the education system in Kenya, because the education system in Kenya imepangwa idanganye watu. Hapo kwa education system ya Kenya hatusomangi we are Kenyans. Tunasomanga Kikuyu is the biggest community, followed sijui by Luya, sijui by what. Hivyo inakujanga hivyo. Ina focus education ya Kenya ndio inatuambia wewe ni nani. We are not Kenyans. Inakwambia yes you are Kenyan but you are from the certain community. Hizo ndio vitu zinafaa kuwa scrapped kutoka ile time ya post election violence 2007. After hizo vitu zilikuwa zinafaa wa change the syllabus, we stop learning those tribes. Hizo tribe ukitaka kujua uende huko Wikipedia ukajisomee, lakini not from the ground pale. Education system in Kenya ndio inatufuck up. Sasa wazee tuko hapa watu kusoma tu wanasoma ma degrees masters nini. Watu wengine huko Tanzania wanaomoka na mpira. Watu South Africa athletes wa Kenya hata huwezi lipwa. Uliona wale wa SSG wanacheza sijui game gani, hata hawezi lipiwa flight tickets. Walikuwa wanaenda kukamp huko, wanadanganywa ndani JKA, hata wajalipiwa tickets. Hizo ndio vitu tunafaa tu focus nazo. Sisi tunadanganywa wewe soma. Education is the key to success. Tumesoma. Sisi naona sahi niko wapi? Niko Saudi Arabia. Tumesoma. Nothing to show for it. Unakaa Kenya, unakuwa mkulima, inakataa kujipa, have kuja huku kwa Arabu unakuwa slave because of the education system in Kenya. Because education system inakuambia wewe soma tu, wewe usiworry, itajipa. Hakuna kitu inajipa. Tunafaa tu focus na kila kitu. Enda UK. Hiyo stories za Man U na nini? Arsenal. Hiyo ni imeemploy wase. Na ni athletes au wase wote. Kuja grao, hata sijui Kasarani wanaifanyia nini? Sijui grao gani, hata tuwezi cheza game Kenya. Lazima tuende juu hakuna stadium yetu iko approved na FIFA. Yaani hizo ndio vitu tunafaa kwa tunafocus nazo. Si kufocus na vitu zingine hata wase wanafaa wote waende home. By the way, acha niwaambie kitu kingine. Hii story ya kuuzia youth, ati mnaambiwa youth, ati tumetenga hii pesa ya youth.
Geta wacha nikupe 1 minute ya kumalizia.
Yeah, acha niwaambie. Wase wanajua tuna grow. Wanajua in 10 years hatutakuwa bado youth. Tutakuwa tushaondokea hii age gap ya youth. Hii kitu ndio wanakulianga from wazazi wetu waliambiwa tutasaidia youth waka grow. Wase wengine wanaambiwa hii
Unmute your mic, Gita, and talk to us. Allah. DK. Gita, why there?
Sijui. Bana, only mute, hata sikujua. Nilikuwa naambia history ya youth. History ya youth wanatudanganyanga hapa. Hadi wazazi wetu waliambiwa.
Let him learn.
Acha nimalize hii story. Niwaambie. The biggest scam in Kenya ni history ya youth. Ati tunafikiria story ya youth, ati sasa tunapanga youth. In 10 years tutakuwa tumeondokea hiyo age gap. Hatutakuwa youth tena. Then watadanganya Gen Alpha. After 20 years Gen Alpha wameondokea. Hivyo ndio inakuanga the system. Hakunanga story na youth Kenya. Fund zote za youth. Kwa hiyo ministry ya youth hiyo inakuwa tu ni ukora mtupu. Wanajua tu in 10 years mtaoana nini, ushaondokea hiyo story ya youth. Anyways, shukran.
Asante Getao, and sorry about that. I was trying to accept another request. Fat fingers hapo. Asante Getao for that one. Appreciated very much. Western, habari jioni. Western, can you hear me?
Hello, I can hear you, DK.
Yes, good evening.
Good evening, how are you?
Salama sana.
Hata mimi niko salama, asanti. Greetings to Pipita and everyone else on the platform. Gitau couldn't have been more right. His submission comes across as pessimistic, but facts are stubborn. We cannot run away from them. One thing is that we idolize democracy a lot in Kenya, you know, and we are very nervous when we realize that we cannot approximate what people are doing in Europe and the US. You know, Ruto says, I brought Elon Musk to increase competition. As far as internet connectivity is concerned in Kenya, like how is that increasing competition? I thought you would be talking about Kenyan inventions. You're talking about some invention from the US. Now, is that kind of lack of appreciation of how the international community works that's hurting the people of Kenya a lot? And we've reduced democracy to elections, as I keep saying. So we think that if we have problems now, we can pack those problems and just wait for elections, and then voila, you know, courtesy of elections, we're going to solve those problems. And history shows that we have never solved a thing through elections. But that's what we've been sold by the West through these neoliberal economic policies. You know, Pipita, once you mentioned the word social health insurance fund, it immediately connotes the word universal. It immediately connotes the aspect of state intervention. That you have realized that most Kenyans cannot afford private health care. So through the state, you want to make quality health care affordable to most Kenyans who have meager incomes, who have no income, who are in the rural places, who are in those high density districts in urban areas. That is your intention. But you set up something like that and it's still driven by profit. And money still ends up in the pockets of business people, including yourself. Like, really? Where did we get this kind of people as politicians? Where did we get, even the British, Kenya's former colonizers don't behave like this. Like, the Kenyan political elite have beat the British at their own game. Because Britain is a classist society. But their National Health Service works perfectly well for all and sundry. It has got problems. But you don't find a prime minister in Britain going to seek health care from a private facility. They go to a public facility. Here, you want to use public money to provide health care to a tiny fraction of the political elite through the private system. Like, really? And the Secretary for Health the other day was mentioning about we want to involve, private hospitals and stuff like that in the rolling out of, healthcare for all. Like, private hospitals, people are in business. You think they're interested in rolling out healthcare, quality healthcare for all Kenyans? Like, these people, you listen to them and you like, really, where did these people come from? But it has got a history to it. These are people who think that you can borrow things from elsewhere and just, supplant them in Kenya and they will work. They have completely no clue about what is it that the Kenyan people need and require. What is unique about the Kenyan society that is different from the American society, the British society, the Chinese society? They are not preoccupied with those things. Even the Singaporeans, who have modernized courtesy of borrowing things from the West, they are very critical of the West and the Western policies and neoliberal economic policies and capitalism and stuff like that. You're not going to modernize a society without socialist policies, state intervention. You will not empower farmers. You will not provide quality education for everyone, healthcare for everyone, food security. You will not achieve those things. If you are like these people who believe that capitalism, free market economy is the answer to all the problems. You will not. What you do instead, you sink people deeper into poverty, and you increase inequalities. And what do you have? You have got an unstable society. As Gitao puts it, people now recede into their ethnic enclaves to justify looting, for political mileage, to fight some very useless wars at the national level. And I want to say that this is not a distraction. What you're seeing, this useless fight, they're not a distraction. In any case, we're distracted constantly. They make laws that are inimical to our collective well-being, whether it's in agriculture, whether it's in health, whether it's in education, across the board. So we're constantly distracted. But one thing is clear. They think that we lack complexity. We do, in such a way that we can handle all these things at the same time. We will talk about the airport. We will understand what they are doing at the political level. We'll talk about agriculture. We'll talk about everything and anything. Because Ali Mazrui, one of Kenya's foremost intellectuals, was asked, who is an intellectual? And he answered that an intellectual is a person who is fascinated with ideas, and he can handle several of them at the same time. So we can handle all these things at the same time. We are not one track that we can only focus on one thing and then we go with it to its conclusive end, and then we pick another thing. No, we can handle all of them at the same time, and we can understand what they are doing. Secondly, I want to put it to Kenyans that it's either the state works for all or it doesn't work for anybody at all. So I get distracted and concerned when people say doctors passed exams, they scored A's, they're doing matatus, they have a problem paying housing. Look, we want a country that works for everybody. If you are a mechanic, I keep on saying, that craft, you will make a living out of it. You can train your children, you will have housing, your life will be dignified. If you're a teacher, that job you're doing, you're teaching, whether it's a primary school, level, high school, or at the university, it will dignify you. You can take your kids to school, you can afford housing, all things that are supposed to facilitate your life and dignify you. But when we think that owing to how people performed in school, they deserve the privileges of life as opposed to others, it takes us here. And that's how you find when Gen Zs are on the street, the doctors are not joining them. Because no, that's not our fight. These people have their own fight. So most of them are jobless. These young people are jobless. When the Gen Zs are on the streets, lecturers are not joining them. No, that is the problem. These are not our problem. We have our own problems. We are lecturers. Nurses are not joining them. Teachers are not joining them. Now, look, I'm telling you, that silo approach to our collective problems is actually what works against us. Because we all have issues against this state. It's not working for everybody. So why don't we synergize our efforts? We can't, because we are a classist society. I'm a lecturer, I'm a professor, I'm a doctor. I can't join these people. I'm a teacher. We will have our own protest. This is a protest of the young people. These are rabble rousers. These are troublemakers. In any case, what do they have to show? That is our problem in this country. And it makes it easier for this political elite to get away literally with murder, to evade accountability, for us not to hold them to account. Because we're not just divided along useless ethnic fault lines, we're also divided along useless class lines. Class lines, it's not my problem. There are problems of people in informal settlements, popularly referred to as slums. Those are not our problems. Those are not our problem. That is one of the very destructive mentalities in this country that is ensuring that the political elite act with impunity, plunder state coffers, and sink everybody into hopelessness and into poverty. So we want a doctor, once they graduate, to get a job and lead a decent life in dignity. We want a teacher, once they graduate, get a job, lead a dignified life. We want a mechanic who has opened, a workshop by the side of the road to lead a dignified life. A plumber to lead a dignified life. That's what civilized societies do. They dignify everybody. In Kenya, we think we can dignify some people while the rest are left to their own devices. We must change this mindset. For if we don't, these people will continue taking advantage of us. As I learned, I am not so sure whether, as Parliament is currently structured and it operates, and currently the Kenyan state runs, I'm not so sure whether there's a distinction between Salasia and somebody who has got a PhD in that parliament. I'm not so sure, honestly. Let's be frank. I'm not so sure there's a distinction between a governor who has got a PhD and a governor who does not. I'm not so sure. Otherwise, we would have shining examples. If you go across the board, money is being looted, irrespective of which level of education this governor attained. If you go to parliament, you find most parliamentarians are sycophantic, irrespective of the level of education. The other day, they recently appointed a treasury cabinet secretary, went to the Senate and completely was clueless about the things that he was being asked. Why would you do something like that? And it's true, he has no answers to those questions because he came into the government the other day. So he can't understand those questions about JKIA and stuff like that. So, but he goes to the Senate, takes to the stand, and he wants to respond to those questions. What does he do? He just keeps on scratching his head. Now, we can't have a society like that, where we lack principles, we lack values, we don't even respect ourselves. I cannot do this. I'm cabinet secretary, but I have no idea about what you people are talking about. I was appointed the other day. In any case, I was opposed to some of those, but you go there, you have no answers. How do you appear? You appear clueless and completely barbaric. Why would you do that? So we have got problems with our political elite, but we have got deeper problems with the society, the Kenyan society. And that's why unless that changes, and I'm glad Gitau talked about the education system in Kenya. It completely zombifies people. It completely makes people averse to asking questions. So that when people ask questions, they're dismissed and stigmatized as troublemakers. You go to the mass media, all that they do is to pander to state parochial interests and fight against Kenyans who are agitating for a working state, working government. And they spread propaganda and ethnic stereotypes. You go to religious formations, they're into money-making schemes and into sleaze, into corruption, and into justifying the excesses of the state. They have completely forgotten that they're supposed to be the salt of the earth. Civil society, they're serving a different agenda. Whoever gives the money tells them what to do. So what does that leave us with? It is us. This mass movement out of conscientization and consciousness that will provide a realistic opposition and resistance to this state and state actors. Currently, all these crops of politicians are one and the same thing. None of them can realistically form a formidable opposition against William Ruto. I can tell you why. Because they think like him. So they can't defeat him at that game. And given that he has got state apparatus, it's only we, when we refuse to buy into the parochial, short-term, barbaric games that will provide a realistic opposition against them. I learned Pipita and DK.
Asante sana Western, no better way to actually get to top of the hour. Ladies and gentlemen, it is 6 p.m. You're listening to Home Run with PP. Thank you very much for being here with us.
Social conversations, engaging topics on your phone anywhere. This is Home Run with PP.
I'd like to bring back PP. I don't know if today he has a junction for us, but I'd like to bring PP back at this point, and I'll join you guys later to share my own submissions.
All right. Thank you so much for that submission, Bwana Western Shilaho. I kind of feel like today we have really started off on a very high gear. From 5 to 6 p.m. today, we have had very powerful speakers.
Social conversations, engaging topics on your phone anywhere. This is Home Run with Pipi.
Karibu sana kwenye show, and today we are right here. We are here discussing vitu zenye zinatu affect kama wa Kenya, kama kawaida. And the three speakers, that is Kikombe, Gitau, and Western Shilao, have really made a lot of sense in terms of unpacking our place that we are right now. I'd want to just tell you, first of all, that SHIF is going to be kicking on at on the 1st of October. Now, I have to read a text from a friend of mine. She is a nurse, okay? Ona. Anasema kwamba, hello, I'm just home and I heard that Ruto is doing what Ruto is doing huku. Apparently, they want to petition if hauna license ya 10,000, hakuna kupanda cabbage. And just like that, Mama Mboga is dead. Amefinywa ya mwisho. Usisahau farming was the last hope ya watu. There's a parent anategemea hiyo kusomesha watoto. Sasa hiyo 10k anatoa wapi? Pipi, do you know tangu mwezi wa 4, that is April, sina health insurance and I work for the government. That is a nurse. Analipa 1,500 per month. Hiyo time alikuwa analipa 1,500 per month. Inaonyesha active, but ndio hiyo iko na 2 months arrears na uwezi tumia. So somebody who is supposed to be paying her hospital insurance, wamekuwa wakikula pesa yake lakini hawaremit. Now this is somebody who is working in a hospital. If you have interacted with nurses and doctors, you will realize that there are very many accidents that are happening in the hospital.
You are listening to Home Run with Pipi. Weekdays from 4 p.m. to 9 p.m.
Nataka tuitane mkutano kidogo tu kwa junction yangu siku ya leo. I want us to talk about the way Western was talking about this systematic breaking down of a system that was working. It's like the political class are making us depend on them. Because how do you tell me that you, as a member of parliament, are getting a maternity cover of 150,000, but me, as the Kenyan, who is paying 2.7% of my money, or 300 or 500, we'll have to pay to get 2,000 shillings, 2,000 for dental, for the whole household, up to 4 children. So if you have a household of 6 people, if you have a household of 6 people, you have to get extra money from your pocket, because if you have to go, all of you to go get dental checks, you can't afford it through the social health. I want to understand this. Why would someone in their right minds enact something like SHIF? Today I want to talk about the human side of things, the human part of us. Hapo tunapata nani? Kwenye hiyo side ya human, tunapata kwamba if you look at various issues that are affecting us as a people, the top issue in our country is not the system, it is Huduma Center. No. It is the human part. Tuambiane ukweli. It is the human part of this nation that is having a problem. Today in the morning, I woke up to a very weird news. The traffic police have become so rogue, even for their bosses, now that they are now being transferred. In Kenya right now, if you have money, you will be served immediately. You will get money. You will come on and their documents. I know somebody who bribed for a passport, and in 3 days passport yake ilitoka. Yangu ya ilichukua 320 days.
This is Home Run with Pipi.
Na ukisikia hivyo unaweza fikiria ni joke. Ladies and gentlemen, hiyo airport yenye nilikuwa niende kutumia imepeanwa kwa Adani Group. Now, I listened to what was happening yesterday with John Mbadi and kina Onyonka. They really put up a show. They really put up a very big show for us. John Mbadi Ngongo and Sifuna have been chairman for ODM and SecGen for some time now. Now they are in public wanapigana vijembe, as if we both don't know what is happening, ladies and gentlemen. Now they have also brought up, they have even made it, to make it look nice, they made sure Onyonka is the loudest voice. Now he's the face. Guys, look at this. The fights have now been made tribal, and that's why we get the Murima distraction. The fights have gotten tribal. The Adani Group thing has fretted, has fluffed feathers. Last week, we saw the DK, can you get me? Allah.
Permission for my 2 cents.
Anybody who can hear me, like 100 nione. Okay, thank you so much. Now I'm back. Yes. So as I was saying, we are being pulled on various fronts. Okay. On one side, we are being pulled with the tribal card. Now the people of Nyanza have been pacified by the nomination of Opiyo Wandayi and John Mbadi, and to even make sure the president went there to the ground to remind them that sasa mkileta noma sahi mjue kwamba mnaletea kijana wenu noma. Yeah, that is it. Mkileta noma mnaletea kijana wenu noma. And now the president now has realized, okay, Rigathi is very serious about this money thing. So let us throw the spanner in the works. Remember, parties in central Kenya broke down to form UDA. Okay, so there are also invested interests within that, and now people are being pulled into fighting the fights of Rigiji and Ruto. The same script that was used against us with Ruto and Uhuru, when Uhuru realized that Ruto is not going to get a direct election because he had already looted the country dry. Now our country has been looted. Cash, Rigidi alisema cash imeisha. Okay, sasa kitu imebaki ni madeni na assets. Wewe ukisota kwako, the first thing you do is sell your things in the house. So right now, as you're speaking, if we give out our airports, we give out our shipping ports, that is the Mombasa port, which serves East Africa. We give out our electricity grid, so that when these people feel like we have not paid them enough, they can just switch off the lights. Yeah. And the way we used to have an issue with Uganda, we used Uganda's power at night. I don't know if you guys know, but Uganda shares more power with us at night. So, ladies and gentlemen, as we are speaking right now, we need to be very honest with each other. that if we keep on being distracted like this, kidogo kidogo itakuwa ni 2027. You see, we have seen one Morara Kebaso doing his Vampire Diaries and showing us what is happening. And then what was the next thing? The next thing was these people went to ask for a loan to complete these projects, which Morara is working hard to show us. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, whenever a project is earmarked by the government, the money is released in its entirety. It's budgeted for. Hata kama italipwa for 4 or 5 years, itakuwa budgeted for every financial year. So this money, these projects that Morara Kebaso is exposing are the same projects, are the same projects that have been paid for in full. All right? But saizi mnataka tu complain eti Rigiji akona murima. Rigiji akona murima. Sijui huyu akona nini. My question to you, ladies and gentlemen, which of those shenanigans of these useless politicians put food on our table? Right now, I'm seeing influencers are pushing Mama Samia Suluhu's tag. Idiots. Idiots. I want to call it right there. I want to move the mic around. So many people to talk to. What are your thoughts on all this? I refuse to buy into this nonsense. We were shot. People died. My friend Eric was shot in the legs twice, on both legs. And then you tell me to forgive people. Who am I forgiving here? Not a single police officer has been arrested over the June 25th shootings. Not even one has been asked, not even the OCS Rongai or OCS Githurai has been asked to provide the credentials of the police officers that were shooting for sport in Rongai, what do you call this place? Githurai and Zimmerman. Nobody has been held accountable. 2 weeks ago, a school burnt down. 21 families lost their sons. 21 families lost their sons. Hawa ni watu wangekuja wakue president, wangekuja wakue wasanii, wangekuwa madaktari, wangekuwa nurses, nini. But 21 of those died. If I told you that nobody was been indicted so far, I will not be lying. If I told you that that file has been closed, I will not lie, because it is the truth. The owner of the school only showed up once for the media, and when he did, he said that the school is going to be opened on Monday. And guess who is going to be in the Requiem Mass on Thursday for the kids?
Social conversations, engaging topics on your phone anywhere. This is Home Run with Pippy.
The one that will be on that Requiem Mass on Thursday will be none other than the Deputy President Rigiji. But of course, he has not spoken a word about all this. Probably the man who is the owner of that school is his friend. But what I know he will talk about when he gets that mic on that very fateful Thursday is he will talk about Murima. And Central Kenya peeps, it's high time we decide, are you Kenyan first or are you the mountain?
Social conversations, engaging topics on your phone anywhere. This is Home Run with PP.
Thank you so much for tuning into the junction. That is my small junction here, just to keep perspective on what is happening in our country. And of course, so much has been said about these three topics here, and I feel like they're very much connected. The SHIF is being introduced in a week's time. We are being confused by Adani, who is also getting to take away the airports already in Ketrako. And of course, they're now distracting us with Murima. What are your thoughts on this? Request the microphone. Let's talk. Home Run with PP is supported by you, the listener. If you like what I'm doing, there is a tip jar line 0721948229 where you drop your support for the show. Naona tuko na mtu ambaye anaitwa Joe Onkeo, alikuwa amejaribu ku unmute mic yake. Can you talk to me, Joe?
Good evening once again. Good evening. Ladies and gentlemen. To contribute my 2 pence view on this issue. I think that as a country, we have been absorbed to the things that we see happening to an extent that they've become natural. There might be very little that we might be able to do to alter that course. You have spoken something a few minutes ago about how you took the 160 days to get a simple document as a passport. And you have expressed the shock that someone can get it within a week. In fact, let me place it on you that I have been to Nyayo House at one point, this is almost 10 years ago, and so the person I was with, I think by virtue of the position he held at that time, got that passport within a day. Within a day. In this country, if you know someone, if you are someone who has connection, you can get away with everything. You can get away with everything. There's nothing that is too difficult for you. A proposal was made to the effect that maybe it's time we emulate the model of China. While it's true that China has made progress economically, but it's also true that it has registered a number of failures. There's nothing much to speak about it when it comes to human rights, in as much as that is a topic that can be subjective, or in as much as that is a view or narrative that has been perpetuated mainly by the West, who themselves have nothing much for us to emulate. In fact, I think even the phrase of mature democracies is not a phrase that is apt. I think they have equally been characterized by a number of elements in their society or in their foreign campaigns that make it questionable for them to keep on insisting on the tag of mature democracies. There's nothing mature about the model of democracy that they have adopted. I think that democracy as we have it right now, it's good, but there are certain areas that we need to panel beat. And those areas might include on strengthening our institutions. It may as well be that we might be within the region have some of the most well thought after policies, well-structured frameworks on any matter. Where we have registered substantial failure is when it comes to implementing them. And the problem is, for us to implement them, we need a certain level of goodwill from the leaders that we have, for us to realize the intention or the reason why they were created in the first place. And so then you must have, you need a judiciary that works. We must have a judiciary that at the very basic level intends to place people in a pedestal that will allow them to be accountable. Our judiciary is a tool that is now used to clean up one's name. Any case that is placed before it, you're almost guaranteed that 95% you know how that case is going to turn out. You know, especially when it pities the have and the have-nots. I mean, think of leaders who hold certain positions within the Legislative Assembly whose academic papers are questionable. This case trudges on for almost 1 decade, specifically 1 year, 8 years in court, only for the court to dismiss those cases on flimsy grounds that the evidence was acquired in a manner that will not be fair, or in a manner that is going to be prejudicial to the respondent. Imagine that kind of logic, where the principal or the headmaster of the primary school where this particular legislator says he went comes out and says, no, we didn't have such a candidate during that year. The secondary school in which he purports to have gone, again, same thing, the principal comes out and says, we didn't have such a candidate during that particular year. You know, even the college papers, you know, this college comes out and says we didn't have such kind of a character in our school at any given time, and yet it's dismissed and we do nothing. The Murima that we are talking about, this distraction, I honestly do not believe that it's a distraction. I think it's real that these guys are no longer on the same page. My only concern is, even if the impeachment goes through, what then happens? Because now it would appear that we are on an avenue that has high voltage, and it will only get worse if indeed the impeachment goes through. And so now you have a scenario where you have to, the president has either to pick either to decide to continue with this marriage or seek for dissolution, but at a cost. So the question I'm asking you to invite into your mind is, in the event of such dissolution of marriage, especially by way of impeachment, we as Kenyans, are we prepared for the aftermath? You know? And I get it. I mean, ours is a hypocritical politics. You know, what is going on? You will be shocked to realize that it has got nothing to do with what we as a people now perceive it to be, or what we think, or what is being peddled in the public. Resources must be lying somewhere. You know, their fight might be tied down to there's a tender which didn't go through as it was supposed to go through, or something close to that. But how can it be? How is it possible? You ask yourself, for someone who holds such a position as the second most senior person in this country, be so obsessed with regional politics. How is it possible that we continue day and again, we continue to fall into this cesspool of tribalism? We continue to sink deeper into our tribal cocoons. But you realize that even as you invite those questions to your mind, this is something that we will not be able to handle anytime soon. Because even in Western world, America, for instance, the same thing is there. It's only that theirs is not tribe. So they go for the nearest thing that divides them. And so you have black versus whites, American Latins, American Asians. There are those divisions. They, as long as we live as a people, I think they will continue to be there. The only thing we can do is maybe identify and come up with a model that can enable us to navigate through as a country together and find a way that we can be able to actualize the fact that we might be different, but we are one. And I think that's a conversation that as a country we are not ready to have. Because even among those tribes, you will, if you were to talk to them, you will find more divisions down the line. In some community, clanism is a big issue, you know. So there are certain things that we may never be able to cure them completely, no matter what we try to do. But even as much as we can't cure them, we can find a way of living together, of getting along together as a people. We owe that to the generation that will come after us. Rigathi Gachagua, whichever way it goes, he's set generations to come. At least that is if things continue the way they have been. All these leaders who have questionable amount of wealth, these leaders that you cannot explain how they got the kind of wealth they got. You know, in Kenya, they continue to thrive because administration after administration pampers them. They're not taken into account. We don't revisit. You know, the big man syndrome continues to perpetuate itself and it rears its face every time. And so, unless we, and I don't even think whether, even if you were to say, let's drain the swamp, it's going to bring any change. And I'm saying so because in every election cycle, the members of parliament or the Senate or wherever, in every election cycle, we lose almost 70% to 80% of the legislature. We get new ones. But every time they get in, they end up dancing with the devil.
Joe, one minute.
Yes. Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah, land in a minute.
Yes. And so I don't think whether things are going to change. I think we as Kenyans need to introspect ourselves and come up with a system that will work for all of us. Thank you so much.
Right. Thank you so much, Joe, for that submission. I see we have Hardman here. How are you doing, Hardman?
This is Home Run with Pipi.
Yes, I can hear you, Hardman. Talk to me.
Okay. We have a lot of problem in this country. Okay, let's start with Rigathi Gachagua and Ruto. I think the problem is somewhere about cartels. Because I'm from a region of where we grow tea. And I think you have heard something about bonus.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now the problem is here in the Mount Elgon region, the people are given 60 shillings per kilo on bonus, and the Rift Valley people, they are given 20 shillings. Just imagine the difference. People from Kericho, where the tea is grown the most, where the quality is high, they are being given 20 bob each. And that's why I was thinking, because Rigi say Mguze Mlima Mwone, he was protecting the people of Mount Elgon, Mount Kenya, from the cartels. Not people of, maybe they wanted to steal the profit of the farmers, but Rigi became serious of the region, of his region. So now he cannot talk about the whole country, because when you decide to touch Rift Valley, it seems as if he will be fighting William Ruto. So he decided to fight for his people, and now the people who are suffering the most are from the region, from Rift Valley now. You see now, so maybe the problem came from there, because how can you get 40 bob per kilo less than They're average, and it's KTDA. All of them is Kenya KTDA, headed by KTDA. You see now, that is where the problem is. First of all, the second thing is, let's say the people who are supposed to help us are the ones who are killing us, are eating our money. Because if you go to Rift Valley now, people are saying is our people. They usually say Chitanyon or government yetu. But then you want to observe, they are the most suffering people in the country right now. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying we want someone. People are suffering here, saying that they are the people, that the government is theirs, but they are still suffering. Now, how can we help those people? Because they are very, very, very arrogant. How will we help them? Now, you see, Mount Elgon people, they are going to strike because they have received 60. They wanted more. But people from Rift Valley, they are quiet. Hell, they have been given 20 shillings per kilo. Are those people serious with their life? They are not. These people are just wana-escort watu kwa maisha. Yani, they are just escorting us in life. They want to live their poor life. They die, they go. Like that. Because no one will fight for them. The people who are supposed to fight for them, they are the one eating the money. You see, now it will become very hard to tell the person, the one who you have voted for, the person who you love, the person who you supported is the one eating your money. They don't want to listen. They will start attacking you. That is where the problem is, the biggest problem. I don't know what we will do. Even if you said we drain the swamp, yes, we can drain, but we need to follow our money. We can do this when maybe if another person, a serious person, goes to the government, he does this. Just hire somebody, hire a country. Let's say you hire someone, a country like Russia. We tell them, follow the money, do audit and follow the money. When you get the money, we'll give you 10% of the money, or you give you 20% of the recovered money. Then we'll have the benefit as the people, because you have received the money which we had lost, which we could have not able to recover for ourselves. So we'll have to use another country. We pay them maybe 10% or 15% of the total amount of money they will retrieve. Are you understanding me?
Yes.
Yeah, so we can do that way, and that way we can change. We can maybe, I think the people, maybe even a lot of trillion, maybe even it can sum up to even 10 trillion, the money they have taken away from their economy. Because everybody is stealing. President is stealing, deputy, governors, MCS, MPs, everybody. Even the managers in the factories, like tea factory now, they are stealing from us. Another day from another tea factory in Tegat, in Kericho. How can you build a gate of 15 million? Are you mad? And then you come and give farmers 25 shilling bonus while you have made a gate of 15 million. Will the farmers eat 15 million? Will the farmers take the kids to school with a gate? Some people, they must be
My question here
serious.
is, Hardman, I don't know if you have interacted with the tea process. I want to just know what is this bonus thing, because I've been having this question, and I know that people are listening also. They don't understand how do farmers earn bonus, because I know they take the tea to the factory, so every day I guess. So do they get paid hivyo alafu wanalipa tena for the people who are not maybe following through?
Okay, bonus is calculated like this. Bonus, you pluck your tea every 2 weeks. So you are being paid monthly, first of all. That's called first payment. Now that one is the money which will be paid after auctioning, after selling the tea and process. So bonus is like, is it called dividends or in the bank that is being given once a year? Is it dividends or what is it called? The profits that you are being given, a collective profit that you are being given yearly.
It's dividends.
So yeah, dividends. So this is like maybe we have sold the monthly one is the fixed price for the whole year. So maybe they say we'll be giving farmers 20 bob per kilo every month. So maybe they go there and sell the tea at maybe 50 bob. So there is that 30 bob which will remain. So because the market will not be constant, they fluctuate. They'll have to pay the farmer for monthly, which is constant. Then the other one, it will just fluctuate. Then after the year is over, they calculate the whole amount and divide by the kilos you have. So it depends on how it went at the end of the year. The excess money they received from and it seems like the profit, they'll have to share those one equally among. Now it's supposed to be shared equally among all the farmers, but these people are every factory is giving out its own price. How? And the auctioning is done as KTDA, all of them. Can you get me?
Yes.
Yeah, it's like you are selling. What do we call it? Let's say you are selling unga here. Let's say which company is known for. Let's say Jogo. You are selling at Mombasa, you sell it at 200. You go to Kisumu, you sell it at 100. Is that really fair?
No.
And you should pay people according. How can we farmers? We wake up very early. Tea, you just wake up 6. You go to pluck tea. Then, and everybody, tea is always planted in highland areas where the rain is very hard. So you have to be rained on. You have to do everything. But now these people are taking advantage of us. Even people who are supposed to help us to get our rights, they are together with directors. They are eating our money now. Now the farmers are nowhere. Everything is going hard. Now I was saying Reggie was maybe cartels because he protected the people. He didn't want the people of of the mountain to get into the hands of these people. Because how can people from the president side receive less money than the people from the deputy side? And you should take care of your home first before going elsewhere. That means the people who are eating our money, it's just our people. Kikulacho kingwani mwetu tu. I don't know what we'll do. It's draining the swamp and falling back our money. We need to retrieve the money, the lost money. Yeah, maybe Reggie, maybe they should go both of them home. No impeaching Reggie peke yake. Kila mtu aende nyumbani. Hakuna kitu wanatusaidia. I think I'm true.
Thank you for that, Hardman, and also for refreshing guys in matters tea. Yeah, hiyo ni kitu nimeona imekuwa issue kubwa. I don't understand though, because when Rigiji was speaking last week, he was saying kahawa chai yote kutoka side ya Mount Kenya imeshauzwa, yenye ijauzwa ni ya kutoka side ya president, ya kutoka side ya nani Rift Valley. So he was saying Kericho nini chai bado ijauzwa kutoka kwa auction, but yao inaenda tu. Yes. So that is one thing that really seems to be bringing division. I don't understand the maths of tea, so I'm not going to act like an expert in that. But thank you so much for that submission, Bwana Hardman. Now, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Home Run with PP. We happen here each weekday from 4 p.m. all the way to 9 p.m. East African time. My show is supported by you, the listener. If you like what I'm doing, of course, 0721948229 is the M-Pesa number to drop your support. Naona pale hivi, my guy Francis ameshaingia pale hivi kwa tip. Thank you so much, Francis, for that tip as well. Naona tumejoiniwa na Anthony. How are you doing, Anthony?
I'm good, people. Now, sorry today I've been in and out of this space.
Yes,
last
talk to me.
SHIF and Adani and Murima. I'll start with Murima. Murima, that is a mere distraction. Rigiji is going nowhere and he knows it. But Ruto has perfected the art of drawing people off. And he figured out all you need to do is distract people for you to be able to get away with something. So anytime you see a distraction, you need to be very careful what is happening in parliament and what do we need to be doing in terms of, I've just seen Duale say he has invited Kenyans to bring their views on a particular bill. I think I can go back to it. So anytime you see these two things of regarding wants to be impeached, let's go fast and start this. If you cannot impeach an MP, we've never impeached a governor, Sonko, and Sonko everyone wanted him go. You really think we can impeach Gachagua? It would make him the most powerful person in Mount Kenya right now, because it will give sympathy. And Ruto has, if we the people know that, believe you me, Ruto knew that 3 years ago. So there's no where Gachagua is going. In terms of Adani and SHIF, Adani, I think from what happened yesterday in Parliament and in the Senate, I saw today the Minister of the CS of Treasury was in a meeting with the Presidential Advisory Committee. And I think he's telling them clearly, guys, the way the Adani thing was structured, we are not going to do this thing. Then High Court has just passed a ruling that the PPP Act of 2023 is null and void. It cannot be used anywhere because public participation was not done. Therefore, KICC, which was being sold, cannot be sold. That was KICC, KCC, and 3 other parastatals. So Adani is a cooked goose. We have a case coming up, I think on the 17th. And based on the ruling that has been passed today, I expect the same ruling to be used on that. So Kenyans should not allow themselves to be distracted.
Kabla uendelee Anthony, yeah. Let me bring it to your attention, Mzee, that the High Court always says ikitu ni unconstitutional, but then there is a graveyard called the Supreme Court and the Court of Appeal. Court inasema hii ni unconstitutional, ikifika huko hivi Supreme Court ama Court of Appeal wanasema eti since it has already started, wacha tu iendelee. Some bullshit bana. So when you're talking about courts, also remember that part.
Let me give you something that was very unique with that ruling, is that they said KICC is a national heritage. They did not say the same about KCC at first. But that also is where JKIA falls under a national heritage. Okay? So Parliament has to go back, or even if they go to the other top courts, it becomes a long process. Okay? Now, with the scrutiny that has happened in Parliament and in the Senate, even in terms of procedural, I remember very well the CS saying there's no way Adani would have brought the papers today and they got approved, all of them in one day. He said it means proper verification was not done, but he said if KIA is efficient, then they should be making profits. Okay? So the system itself is starting to identify the two loopholes in that entire Adani deal. But we give it time. But I think it will be a hard sell. Today also Parliament has said that no further discussion should happen between KIA and Adani until a proper scrutinization of the deal is done by Parliament. So here is MPs making money, that one I know for a fact. But that report will be out today since September. They've said all the way to the end of October. So those are some of the things you need to be looking at. But in terms of Gachagua being impeached, that's a red herring. Gachagua knows he's going nowhere. I believe Ruto is only doing that to distract people. And every time Ruto is distracting people, he's stealing from people. So now we need to be asking ourselves what is happening in Parliament and what is happening in the Senate. Because the timing of Gachagua's impeachment is direct with the reopening of the National Assembly. So we should be more keen on Parliament and the laws or legislation that are up in Parliament. I think we have something to do with the seeds and all that stuff. So That's where our attention should be. But in terms of saying that Gachagua is going anywhere, no, Gachagua is not going anywhere. They know it, we know it, and they know it's a long shot. They can't do it.
Asante sana Anthony. Mimi nashindwanga na vile tunaishi kwa hii nchi. I have been running this show for the past 1 year, and I have never, I rarely repeat topics. And if I repeat the topic, the rabbit hole has grown deeper. And that is exactly where we are right now. Every day we open, there is something. The world of, United States of America is going to elections in November. And the role of social media has come to fore again. It's looking like there is one side that is using kina Google to influence elections. So you can imagine the influence that is happening in our country right now. In terms of the content unaona kwa timeline yako, the stories we are being shown on the mainstream media, we do not have, we have not realized our power as a people with the phones. In our country right now, we have not yet started being censored. So our power lies in our mouth in social media. Unanielewa? Ya kwamba saizi tufai kuwa ati tunategemea kuona news Citizen. Unanielewa? Mimi kama reporter hapa Rongai nasema naenda maybe kama kuna mtu amekuja hapa hivi amefanyikiwa kitu na post. Unaona? But right now, if you look at the news, the first 30 minutes are dedicated to politics. Why? Politics pay bills. Unacheki. Politics pay bills. So unapata politicians wako hapo busy tu. Wanataka tu kupigana. And they keep us talking. Yeah? Sasa tuko katikati ya 2024. Kenya's next elections is in 3 years. 2027. People are here talking about impeachment. They're here talking about some nonsense. Unaona? They know there is nothing that is going to come out of this, but they will still poke the bear. Na kwa vile sisi wa Kenya tuko kama watoto, tuko easily distracted, tunapewa vitu. Sasa unaona, waliona hii Murima hai interest kila mtu, so they gave us this one for John Mbadi. And the same thing that I thought was happening, Samson Cherargei, the senator, said it. Alisema kwamba these ODM people are always arguing. So they set up Mbadi versus Sifuna because they know Sifuna will not take the lies, and then they go against each other. And the narrative that ODM ndio wanapigana ndio wezi wao wakitoka huko nyuma wakati giza inaendelea is happening right before our eyes. These are the things we need to be talking about. But we still want to hear from the same people. The news in our news have proven more than once to be biased. Look at the way the media has handled Amenya recently. Ken was literally on fire against Amenya on the Adani deal. When Morara Kebaso went to JKL, they ambushed him with Hussein's Mohammed's call so that they can trigger him on camera. That was to capture his raw face. Wanataka kuonyesha his animal side immediately bila yeye kujipanga. You see? So all these things look like they are happening from afar, but they are holding. Angalia spaces. We used to get to 1,000 people on the spaces during that Mandamano period. But we look like we have already now receded back to the normal numbers, of course. Wale watu wenye walikuwa na interest, wenye walibaki. Alafu pia sisi hapa hivi kwa spaces, most of the hosts, sorry to say it, have locked up a Jew. Unaona? So meaning this 10-person speaker panel, anytime you click on a space, you already know DK atakuwa, Marabu atakuwa, Gitau atakuwa, Western atakuwa. They are there, they are set to speak. Unaona? So the same elitism that we are trying to run away from mainstream media. Personally, as a host, I have never looked at anybody's followers. If I check your account, it's probably looking fishy and I have to be sure I am not setting myself up. No, but sasa we have hosts who have made this thing again look like another step, step down, and we need to stop doing it because it's now affecting even the way people are reacting to the movement. And of course, we are so quick to use abusive language, and I think last Friday we had that issue here. We are so quick to use abusive language against each other. That is how our politicians are talking to each other. So we have also caught on, and now we are talking to each other vibaya, unatukanana. Just because I'm on the other side, does it mean that me sasa you can call me an idiot? And how am I supposed to react when you call me an idiot? Yeah. So we have grown, the story of democracy has grown to pit the people against each other. Now I feel the Babylon, what my friend Marabu will say, Babylonian system. Babylon is when God found out that people could speak on one voice and they started building a tower, he broke them with giving them various tribes and languages. You see? And now you look at the United States and other European areas, there is a lot of racism, even down here in South Africa. We both used blood, but you feel like you are a higher being than me. Yeah? Look at the tribes. We are treating each other with tribes. Why is it that farmers, have to be paid on the basis of a tribe? How is it possible? How is it fathomable that a tribe is the basic marker for somebody getting paid for tea bonuses?
This is Home Run with Pipi.
Hey. Marabu Stocks, you're back. Talk to me.
Wagwan Pipi. Am I coming through?
Yes, you're coming through.
Yeah, so I think the main reason why I came was because there is this man from Rift Valley, and I saw some story that they were trying to impeach their governor today, and I really wanted to know how that went by, because I've been trying to get the news on the impeachment. Was it somewhere in Rift Valley? So I think
the Nandi governor. Okay. Oh, there is Kericho governor. There is Kericho governor who is facing Adani, who is facing what do you call it? Impeachment. And one of the reasons being cited is that he is taking part in unbecoming sexual conduct, something that we maybe probably hear when it gets to Senate. Yes. Alafu, so that is Kericho governor, Dr. Mutai. So I don't know what is happening on that front. And then in Nandi, just a few minutes ago, I saw people kicking, walikuwa wanapigana masumbu, ma MCA. Yeah, so the MCAs were fighting, and I think that one is also something to do with what Dr. Sang did, because what he did, he fired about 1,800 workers in Nandi County, like yesterday. So today the MCAs have been fighting. So I guess from the grounds that he said that he fired these people, it must have been because of probably there were tribal or clanism involved in it when it comes to employ them. Now he has pulled the plug, because of course when you own somebody, you always have the plug.
Exactly.
$1.1 billion on revenue.
That is the
Liba 70%.
That is the man with the batty behavior.
Yeah. The man, the governor.
Okay.
Kericho County.
So Thank you for that.
Needs to go home.
PP, let me say this. I heard what you told Anthony about our judicial system, and I think we have to be realistic with ourselves. I think the judiciary is compromised already, and we cannot depend on the judiciary for anything. It's already compromised, like the legislative. That you're going to go to court and get reprieve for anything, because I also saw when they say that the Privatization Act is annulled and unconstitutional, we go appeal it, like the housing levy was done, like everything that happens in court. I think court is also caught up in what you're saying about the news, trying to make the news daily. Like it's working, quashing the bill, and then tomorrow somebody goes to the Court of Appeal and they revert back to their initial position. So it's like they're joking and playing with us. But people, let's look at this way. The ruling class has already got us by the balls, because anything that we do, unless we come up with a new system, unless we come up with new players, it's inevitably going to be the same people in power. That is why, if you look at the opposition leader for the longest time has been the Right Honorable Raila Odinga, and you ask yourself, why is it that he never wins elections? Probably this system is set up that he never wins elections, and that is the agreement that these people have to keep control, to keep the ruling class intact. And I've been listening to spaces of the US lately, because in November 7th,